I think that would be pretty funny though.
It's just like all of a sudden I move forward and it
If
just
you
like cuts
fill if
into
you filled the screen, like a corner of your face is covered by the logo.
Hello and welcome to Runnah, running on Cape Cod, Massachusetts and beyond. I'm Juliana, your host. Welcome back, friends. And this week we have a very special guest. We have my friend and also my fellow coach from Girls on the Run, Erin Lyons. Welcome, Erin.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks for
excited to
having
have
me.
you.
Yeah.
I think that this is probably going to be a really good conversation about a program that I feel like some people are going to know about, but a lot of people, this will probably be their introduction to Girls on the Run. So, which is a great thing. And, you know, it's nice if we want to have more volunteers to have people know what the heck we're even doing.
Yeah, we had a parent ask us yesterday if we could start a program at Morse Pond.
Oh.
Because some of our fourth graders are moving on to Morse Pond next year, and they're sad that there's no Girls on the Run. So we're hoping to expand.
Yeah, so if you're listening to or watching this and you'd like to volunteer with Girls on the Run, I'll put the information down below in the description so you can reach out. And also we'll put whatever Erin's appropriate contact information is for her Girls on the Run business. So
yeah, I'll send you that.
Yeah, that way anyone who's interested, you can volunteer with us. But let's start with you first, Erin. Let's start with the Erin Lyons origin story of running. Where does it start? Like, where's your Wolverine, like Superman origin story start? Or Wonder Woman, maybe?
I grew up playing soccer, so I always ran as a form of like other sport or like punishment.
Yeah, you have to do laps or something if you like do something wrong.
And then in high school, I dabbled in some track. Did a couple seasons of indoor and outdoor track, but
what events?
Can you guess what my event was?
Oh, maybe I could see you doing like the 100 or maybe like...
I was a high hurdler.
A high hurdler? How did that even work?
The hurdles literally came to my belly button.
And they're not like height graded at all?
No, you don't get a handicap for being short. You still have to compete at the same height as everyone else.
Interesting. I feel like anyone I know who does hurdles at a baseline is just like someone who's like 90% legs. Like that's just kind of
It's not me.
Yeah, no, I know that much.
Yep, and I started running track just like to do another sport, and I feel like I was a sprinter. And one day at practice, the hurdles were out, and we were doing like curves and straights, so like jogging the straights or sprinting, whatever, walk around basically.
Yeah.
And my friend and I just were like joking around, like jumped over the hurdles, and the coach was like, "You have really good form. Go do that again."
You were like,
and
fine.
Then from then on, I was a hurdler, which is shocking to many people.
Yeah, I mean, that it's not the event. Just because I see you as definitely like a power athlete. You're someone who just has a lot of strength behind them.
Yeah, I definitely have the bodybuild of a power athlete. And also for the audience, I'm 4'11" and a half. So that's why we're talking about high hurdles.
Yeah.
Not the first thing you would guess.
Yeah, I don't know what the height difference looks like on camera, but you're a solid like 6 inches shorter than me.
Oh yeah, I'm very small. And then my senior year of high school, I got cut from the soccer team. So I was like, gave the athletics department the bird and was like, I'm going to go still do a fall sport. And so I went and ran cross country.
Okay.
I really liked the cross country coach. He was one of my favorite teachers, and he was always like very team mentality. Like, you know, every runner is just as important. And then after cross country, the summer after my senior year of high school, I was like, I'm going to run a half marathon. So I ran my first half marathon at 17.
Wow, okay.
And then I went to college and played club ice hockey in college. So I ran as a form of staying fit for hockey. And then...
This all kind of makes sense knowing you now, Erin, though, because I feel like you dabble in a lot of different sports and things.
Just in life, I dabble a lot in general. In
yeah,
different
we'd be
things.
dabbling.
Sports, not sports. I do a lot of dabbling.
this checks.
Yeah. And so I ran like some races, half marathons mostly, like through college just for fun. And then
Also, the half marathon running just as a fun thing, as like a 17-year-old, also checks for me as well with you too, because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that's very ambitious. And then I was like, this is Erin.
yeah, you're like, it's a little hardcore. And then you're like, well, you see how I live the rest of my life.
Yeah, I can see where this fits into the lore of the Erin
Yep.
history here.
Yeah. And then I went to grad school. I kind of stopped running for a little while just because I didn't really have time. And then I gained some weight and then got back into running as like a way to lose the weight. And then I was 25 and I was like, what better way to celebrate turning 26 than running a marathon?
Yeah.
Because 26 miles, 26 years.
Yeah.
So I ran my first marathon, then I got addicted to it, and now I run all the time.
Yeah, you be running these streets.
I do be running these streets.
Yeah.
So yeah, mostly marathons.
What was your first marathon?
Martha's Vineyard.
Really?
Yeah, which no longer exists. R.I.P.
Yeah. What did you think of that marathon when you ran it?
I liked the course. It wasn't very well supported.
Yes.
I've
run it before. That's why I'm
feel like
asking.
I started running out of water at the end of it. And it was like, the year I did it, it was wicked hot.
Yeah.
Even though it was like the first weekend in May, maybe, or the second weekend in May.
Yeah, it's like the second
It was
weekend
like
in May possible. It used to be.
very warm. But I mean, other than that, I ran with my own water, thankfully. So like I wasn't like running out of water, which a lot of people were running out of water. But yeah, I mean, it was a good one because I didn't have to go very far. It was nice to do it locally and like not spend a ton of money.
Yeah.
On marathons, which, as you know, adds up.
Which you have kind of gone on to spend a lot of money on marathons, for sure.
Yep. I ran Disney twice. Those aren't cheap.
No.
But those are fun.
Those are on my bucket list at some point. I haven't gotten that far yet.
The second time I ran Disney, I had an injury, and I was like, I don't care what my time is. I'm just here to finish it. I'm here to have a good time. So I stopped and rode a roller coaster. And
yeah, so you said.
It's like the only marathon in the world that you can be like, I stopped and rode a roller coaster.
And now you have that in your back pocket.
And you can stop and get a margarita in Mexico at the end because you finish in Epcot.
And Epcot is open at that time. By the time,
yeah, it's like mile 26 is Epcot.
Yeah.
So your last people will literally like stop and get snacks and then like walk the last quarter mile.
I mean, not the best finish line picture, but honestly not a bad one either.
I mean, who doesn't want a picture of a margarita and a big pretzel?
I mean, that's a pretty good like finish line picture. Just like cheersing the margarita coming across the finish line.
I mean, if you're looking for a marathon that's just based on the experience, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're a Disney fan, are you?
Yeah.
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 So.
It's on my bucket list to go do it. I just haven't gotten the funds and the time to like make it happen yet.
Yeah. Well, you've been prioritizing other expensive races.
Yeah. I may or may not have had like Tokyo and now Berlin and like London next year. So, you know, there'd be some big races.
Did you get into London?
They have me on the list for Team for Kids already.
Nice.
They just haven't opened up the registration yet.
Yeah.
But they have like a list of people.
Well, now you'll have to go to Australia.
I know. Well, the Team for Kids people just had us have the Sydney team now too. So that's going to be the plan.
That's a big one.
Yeah. If you want to go to Australia too that year, Erin, you let me know.
I mean, maybe.
We can make it happen.
I don't have any plans past Boston next spring, but...
I plan for 2027 for Sydney. That's my plan.
What is next spring? Is 2026? Okay, so the year after?
Yeah, it would be the following fall / begin end of summer.
I mean, maybe.
It could happen.
I'm down to consider it.
You never know. We'd be spending big money on races over here.
I know.
But, yeah.
That's probably just as much as Tokyo, flight-wise.
Yeah, I think it's just that whatever the Australian, like, dollar / like, currency is not as weak as the yen.
No.
So
yeah, it's more like shopping in the United States.
Yeah, the nice thing about Tokyo was the flight was like really expensive, but like I paid like
once you were there, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I paid like almost $2,000 for an economy seat.
Yeah.
So like that's not cheap in any format, but yeah, once you get there, you can get like a full meal with like a dessert and like a drink and everything for like $4 at any 7-Eleven, and they are like nice.
Yeah.
So it was a lot more affordable once you actually got there.
Yeah.
And I would love to go back to Tokyo too. So
one day.
That's on the bucket list.
One day.
Yeah. You'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, so I also run the road race in town.
Yeah, how many times have you run the Falmouth road race?
This summer will be my 4th.
Oh, okay.
I've ran it every year I've lived here, so I think it'll be 4.
And now,
Head scratcher, don't know for sure.
what brought you to Falmouth, Erin? Because I don't think you didn't grow up here, right?
No, I grew up in
Okay.
Maryland.
Okay.
Marine science. So I work at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute as my full-time gig. So yeah, marine science jobs. Woods Hole has a lot of them. So that's how I
Yeah, it does.
how I ended up here. Yep.
Yeah. And so what are you studying right now as part of your job?
I work in a microbiology lab, so we do microbiology of different things, mostly coral reefs, and then there's some like whale gut digestion microbiology work that's happening.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of get to dabble in some different things.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I get to do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, and you have a history of like also being like a fitness instructor too, and
do a lot of dabbling. Yeah.
Yeah, many dabblings, many like other athletic endeavors that you're taking on.
Yeah, I've coached hockey. I coached hockey this past year.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Cool.
Assistant coached one of the club teams in town.
Nice.
One of the girls' teams. Yeah, I have my personal training certification that not currently using, but I have it.
Yeah.
I have my nutrition coaching certification, not currently using that. But yes, lots of dabbling.
Yeah. Well, I guess speaking of dabbling, one of the other things you do dabble in is Girls on the Run.
Yeah.
One of the dabbling categories that you have.
Yep.
And you are kind of the one, if I'm not mistaken, who brought Girls on the Run into Falmouth.
Yeah, so our program at Teaticket Elementary we just finished our 2nd season.
Literally yesterday.
Literally yesterday. And tomorrow is our party.
Yeah, we got a party tomorrow.
So this will be the end of our 2nd season, and before that we didn't have a program in town. And part of that was because the Cape and the Islands were not part of a like greater Girls on the Run jurisdiction, basically. And so we're now part of the Greater Boston Girls on the Run chapter, and so that kind of makes it easier to start a team because there's already an organization that's there to support. We had looked into starting a team because we weren't incorporated into the Boston area, and it's basically like starting your own nonprofit organization.
Not easy.
Yeah, there was a lot of work that went into it. There's a lot of fundraising that would have had to happen. We would have had a board of directors, and so there had been some efforts a few years ago by people in town to get Girls on the Run in Falmouth, and it was just a lot of work. But then once the Greater Boston chapter started growing and they incorporated the Cape and the Islands into their chapter, we could just go through their
like piggyback on everything they already had going on.
Yeah, exactly. So that's helped because they're here to facilitate and make everything run smoothly. But yeah, I had somebody in town be like, hey, I've had some nieces that did Girls on the Run somewhere else in Massachusetts, and they loved it, and it's like a great program, and it would be a really good thing to bring to our town. There's, especially in the wintertime, there's not as much, I guess, for kids to do. I wouldn't know because I'm not from here and I don't have children here.
Same, but I will just assume based on the way the economy and the way that things kind of flow here in Falmouth.
Slow down in the year, yeah.
Yeah, that's just the general vibe.
Yeah, so I had some people who have had experience with the program before, like, be interested in bringing it into town, and they're like, you're a coach, you're a runner, you're, active in the fitness world here. Like, I think you'd be a good person to help with that. And so, yeah, we have a lot of volunteers. It wasn't just me, but Ashley is our site liaison at Teaticket. She's a teacher at Teaticket, and so she's been really instrumental. She kind of handles like the school logistics side of it, and then I handle like the coach organization kind of side of it. So it's a team effort between the two of us. But yeah, and as you know, we have had like 8 or 9 coaches this year. So we have
a fair number of coaches this year, which is good.
A good number of volunteers. We were hoping to start a program this year at East Falmouth, but with some of the like school, they're talking about shutting down East Falmouth. They talked about shutting down Teaticket.
Yeah.
So with some of that unknown
intertown drama,
we didn't get to do that. But yeah, we had a parent yesterday, like I was saying, ask if we could start a team at Morse Pond next year. So there's interest out there, and I think we have enough volunteer interest that we would be able to start a second program.
I hope so. I mean, from what I've seen, and I'm sure you can probably concur with this, it really does benefit the girls a lot, and they get a lot out of it. I mean, we as coaches get a lot out of it too. Like, it's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really fun to see that. But I think what we should do is, if you can, to your best of your abilities, Erin, and I can chime in as needed. What is Girls on the Run? Like, what the heck is this? Why are we talking about it? And like, what are we even doing?
Yeah, so Girls on the Run is an international nonprofit based in the United States, mostly operating in the United States. I think there are some teams in Canada, but it's mostly a U.S.-based organization.
I wouldn't know.
we can fact check that later.
Yeah.
That creates basically running programs for 3rd through 8th grade girls, focused on getting your body moving, but more importantly, focused on teaching life skills about like confidence, body positivity, being a good friend, teamwork, resilience. There's a lot of psychology science that shows that around 3rd grade is when girls start to lose confidence in themselves, and boys start to gain confidence in themselves. And so it really becomes an uneven playing field. And so Girls on the Run was kind of created to teach girls some of those skills to try to overcome that gap. And it's focused around, also building a healthy lifestyle. So the organization has, I think has helped on order of like 2 million girls across the United States. And, they have as you know, pre-made curriculum. So things are very organized, and the curriculum is very scientifically backed and studied. And usually, we have a lesson plan, and each lesson has a topic. We play some games, we get the girls moving.
Do a warm-up.
And then, the end of the practice is like more running, but it's still usually an activity that's guided around the goal. So like sometimes it's like you can do hard things, or like giving your teammates positive reinforcement, just teaching some of those like life skills to be a happy and healthy adult one day.
Hopefully.
And then the season culminates in a 5K road race. So the girls are also training for something, which is important, giving them some sort of goal to work towards, and giving them something that, for especially a 3rd grader, like a 5K is a big deal.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And so giving them something that is a challenge and teaching them that they can do hard things and they can overcome challenges is also a really big part of it.
I feel like that's a pretty big underlying message of the whole program, of just like, you can do it. Like, even though this is challenging, like, you got this.
Yeah, and don't give up when things get hard, and building that resiliency.
Which it is definitely interesting to see as a coach, to see the girls grow throughout the program, because they definitely do. Like, though the program is 8 weeks long?
8 weeks, yeah.
It's not like a ton of time for them to grow.
No, it's quick.
But they definitely do. Yeah. For sure.
And you can do a fall season and a spring season. We only do the spring season here in Teaticket just because, the school is relatively small, and we actually get most of the girls that we can, who are going to participate anyway in the spring. So you can't have 2 seasons a year. We just don't.
Yeah.
Because it's more work.
Yeah. And it is all volunteer based as well too. So. Which is half the challenge with things like this, where it's like people want to partake in it, but then it's just all kind of a labor of love, more or less. Yeah,
and obviously everyone has their own stuff going on, so it's hard to find more hours in the day.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see, like, you see girls come in during that first week, and they're quiet, and they're afraid to speak in front of the group, and they only want to hang out with their friends that they know, and then by the end of the season, you really get to see their personality shine, and you really get to see them open up and be more confident, which is the goal. So it's cool to see them blossom. And we actually had a couple of 4th graders. They do a yearbook at Teaticket for the 4th graders, because 4th grade's the last year, I believe, that they're at Teaticket, and then they move
graduate
on.
Or whatever.
Yeah, they move on to Morse Pond or some other schools. And in the yearbook, we had a couple of the 4th grader Girls on the Run girls say that they're highlight of their entire experience at Teaticket was doing Girls on the Run.
Wow. Okay.
So it's cool to see how excited they get.
Yeah.
We also had a lot of girls this year run the Women Run Cape Cod 5K. So
yeah, we had at least 5 girls this year run it, which is great because last year we only had one.
Had the one,
Yeah.
But the race gives them free registration.
And Mary's been on this podcast before talking about what that is.
Yeah, and we were actually one of the beneficiaries last year of the 5K, which was awesome, helping us raise some money for the program. But it's cool to see the girls, because of Girls on the Run, also getting involved in the running community outside of just Girls on the Run, which is really cool. So, hoping to teach those lifelong love of running, or at least
some kind of
long
movement.
run of some kind of movement.
Some kind of movement.
Moving at your happy pace is what we tell the girls. So whether that's walking, running, skipping, rolling,
however you want to move, just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think one of the nice things too about this program is not only does it get the girls involved, but the parents also get highly encouraged to be involved, because not only are they seeing what their girls are doing, and we invite them to the practice 5K that happens about halfway through the season, but they're invited to be a buddy for their runner, their girl, at the end of the season for the 5K as well too, so they can come and be part of that whole experience and share with them. And I know that some of the moms specifically had been running with their girls and had done practice runs with them at home, which is really cute.
Yeah, and that's a good point that I didn't mention. So at the celebratory 5K at the end of the season, every girl gets a buddy, one, so that we're not losing our children, because yesterday there was over 5,000 people running the 5K in Boston.
Yeah.
So every girl has a buddy, but then the point of that too is that they have a buddy that's there to encourage them and help them when things get hard and they want to stop and walk or quit and not finish, so they have that kind of that encouragement and that accountability the entire time.
These are 3rd and 4th graders,
Yeah.
These are not full-grown adults in any capacity.
It's a feat for them. But yeah, a lot of them will have parents or anybody in the community over the age of 16 can be a buddy. So we had one girl they had a family friend who's a Boston police officer, ran with her.
Oh, that's nice.
We've had older siblings, aunts and uncles. But yeah, we had a handful of moms that were their daughters' buddies, and they trained for the 5K.
Yeah.
So they actually, it helped them get out and move, and it gave them something that they could do together, which is cool too. So.
Yeah, because it's facilitating not only the girls to have a higher self-esteem and show that they can do something hard, but it's also attempting to at least facilitate some kind of conversation within the families about movement and self-esteem and things like that, and then and goal setting, and hopefully getting the parents or some other family member involved with the whole program itself too, and then hopefully also engaging the community too. So which I feel we do, especially with including the Women Run Cape Cod 5K. I feel we do a decent job of engaging the community a little bit more too, which is good.
That's been a good way of engaging the community. And then, some of our coaches are members of the running club, Falmouth Run Club. So that's been a nice connection to have. Kathy,
as our admin,
is our admin, helps us coach Girls on the Run. So we get a lot of resources and support from them. Yesterday, we had our 5K in Boston, and it was a little bit rainy, and Kathy brought Cape Cod Marathon gear check bags.
Oh yeah, she's always bringing those.
Space blankets, to help keep people dry and all of that. So that, that's been a big help too to have the run club community step up and kind of provide that support as well.
Yeah. Now, since you've been a coach for 2 years now, Erin, what do you feel is your favorite part of being a coach for Girls on the Run?
I think the best part is getting to see the girls after they finish the 5K at the end of the season, because they're all just always so proud of themselves, and they feel they've done this really big accomplishment, which again, for a 3rd or 4th grader,
they definitely have.
That is a big accomplishment.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's really cool to just see how accomplished and how excited and rewarded they all feel, and kind of see it all get tied up with a nice bow. We had some kids yesterday. One girl ran her 5K in 30 minutes, and she said last year she did it in 40. So
wow,
just
that's great.
That improvement and that you get them hooked and you get them excited about something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, I think one of the things is that we don't see the linear progression, most of us, of these girls throughout the entire program, exactly because we're not required to be at every single practice.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many volunteers that we've had plenty of hands, which has made it spread out a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah, which is, definitely nice for all of us, so we don't have to, and especially for you who's coordinating all of us, it's good to have the coverage.
It is nice to have backup.
Yeah, but it means that we're not seeing the girls at every single practice either, so if they're improving, maybe we miss like 1 or 2 weeks of practice and like we see them at the end of the thing, and you can just see how much they've grown, even that like 1 to 2 week period.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit crazy in the best way possible.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah, and it's nice to just see, Girls on the Run, at least our chapter here, the Greater Boston chapter does a really good job with the 5K. So yesterday, it was in Boston Common, and
let's talk about the 5K a little bit more.
The police shut down the streets in downtown Boston. Like the girls got to go in to Boston on the bus and do, for us out here on the Cape, especially going into Boston is a big deal. So, the organization does a really good job of putting on an event that really feels like it's a big deal. They had a stage and a band, and they had, a station where they could bedazzle their bibs with their numbers on them, and they're the girls were painting glitter all over their bodies.
I imagine there was quite a bit of glitter.
Some girls were running in capes and costumes, and
That's so
it just
cute.
they do a really good job of making a very fun and exciting environment where the girls get, I think, excited too about the race itself, which is another cool thing, is that hopefully we're fostering that excitement to do road races and to do other things down the road. Girls were dancing in front of the stage and just having a good time. So
I think that's awesome.
It was a really cool event. It felt like, I've run some pretty big races, as you know, but that was definitely one of the largest 5Ks I've probably ever run in.
Yeah.
Other than the BAA 5K. But they felt they did a great job of making it feel like it was a big and special event for the girls.
As it should be, because they've accomplished quite a lot. And like we've mentioned a couple of times already, it's not easy to run a 5K as a 3rd or 4th grader.
Yeah, so some of those kids still don't know how to pace themselves. They're trying to sprint it, and you're making your life so much harder.
It's so interesting watching them on the Teaticket little circle that we have in the back, because what is it, 6 or 7 laps is a mile or something like that. And so they'll go and sprint out half a lap on that thing, and then they're just walking the rest too. And it's my friend, you went we did not get real far with that sprint, did we?
Yeah, we're still trying to learn pacing. That's something that's in the curriculum. We practice it, we teach it, but that is a hard. Even for
adults, it's even hard.
That's a hard skill to learn.
Yeah, there are very few people who are quote unquote good at pacing.
Yeah,
it's 1 out of 100 people, maybe 1 out of 1,000, to be honest. It's
it definitely takes some practice.
Yeah, it definitely does, but it's definitely really wonderful to see how rewarded the kids feel, but then also the coaches and the parents too. It's a big, from what you described, I didn't go this year, but it's a big communal event, and everyone just is involved, and everyone should be involved too, because these is the future. These are the girls who are going to be the future everything for us, and so we should try and put them off on a good foot. It might be a good idea to give them positive tools to use in their little toolbox that we have.
Yeah, and I do think, the coaches get just as excited about it. We have, some of our coaches love to go and buy treats and buy little trinkets and put together the party tomorrow.
We got Sue and Kathy for that.
Yeah, such a big hit. Because the volunteers love it just as much as the girls do.
Yeah, it's really wonderful to see that chemistry between the coaches and also the girls too, how we all play off of each other. And I can just speak for our group here, but everyone is very positive.
Yeah, totally. And I think Girls on the Run is also a really cool space for the coaches, because, Girls on the Run sets this message about positivity and acceptance and you
Yeah.
know, meeting people where they're at as an entire organization, and like we're teaching those values to the girls, but that's also creating a space where, you know, coaches come in and are in a positive environment. They're being accepted and encouraged and being met where they are, you know, and so it just creates a unique opportunity because you don't see that everywhere you go in life, you know, like how many
it's
people
hard to find that.
can go to work or go to wherever and like really have that type of community. So the curriculum, you know, it's as much as it's focused on creating those skills in our girls, like it's also a positive environment for the coaches, and I think that's one thing that also that draws volunteers in. Yeah, I mean, everybody gets to just show up and have a good time and be who they are, and
Yeah. I mean, I've met a bunch of people now that I'm just thinking about it too. Like, I don't know, I probably would have met Nicole eventually, but like I met Nicole at Girls on the Run. I met Susie at Girls on the Run.
Yeah.
Like, there are a bunch of
That's
people.
so funny to me because, like, I mean, obviously there are people that I brought in to Girls on the Run, but I'm like, you didn't know them already?
Yeah. Well, Susie goes to Fitness Directions too, doesn't she? You were working there.
Yeah, that's how I met Susie.
Yeah, and I had met Ben first because he was there at work with me that one day when Jenny was interviewing him, and I thought he was a vendor, and I gave him like a stank eye. And
Yeah, that's funny because I met Nicole through the running club, and then when Ben moved to town, I was the one who told him to apply to the store and put him in touch with Jenny.
Yeah.
And it's all come full circle. Small town.
We're all gonna run into each other eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is. I feel like it's a good way to like at least low key socialize with people who have the same goals and values as you, like who appreciate physical activity in some format or another, and are just like generally positive human beings. Because you really can't be a coach and be a grump.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work out.
Yeah, especially not in a program that encourages you to be positive.
Yeah, when you're like setting your happy pace and like, what is it, putting on your positive, we don't think of those positive pants or anything like that.
It's not your grumpy pace. It's your happy pace.
It's your happy pace. Yeah. So
yeah, it's just another good extension of the running community in town here.
I think it's really great too because we don't really have too many other things besides the kids' summer running program that I think runs for about 8 weeks during the summer.
Yeah.
That engages like anyone below the age of 18, more or less.
Yeah, and you know, the nice thing about Girls on the Run is that it's also not about running as
it's
a
not
competitive sport. It's using running to facilitate healthy lifestyle and, you know, the mission of teaching girls all these life skills. And so, you know, it's like running is the side component of what we're doing at Girls on the Run, which is nice because you get other youth sports just in general where it's like, no, the sport is the focus and all the other things are tangential to that. So it's nice to have that opposite perspective where it's like, no, we're going to teach the life skills first and foremost, and then the sport will come secondary.
It sometimes makes us worry a little bit when we see the girls running around. We're like, the 5K is next week.
Yeah, the competitive adults in us are all like, what are you doing?
Yeah, we see that one girl who's like really struggling. She's like, they're supposed to do like what, like 80 laps or something, and she's at like 20, and we're like, okay. It's
and you know, they all finish. They all have a great time, and
yeah,
you know, everybody finished yesterday. Everybody had a smile on their face. So it's like, you know, it makes you stop to be like, you know what? It's not all about.
Maybe Erin, it's not all about competition.
Yeah, as a competitive person, it is a good reminder for me as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's another thing that Girls on the Run is like, really, it's not about being competitive. We don't force pace or any sort of like, other than completing the 5K, there's no other sort of like goals or metrics. Everybody has the same bib number. Everybody wears number 1 on their bib. Like
I didn't know that. That's really cute.
All the girls get number 1 on their bib. As again, another way to just like eliminate that like need for competition and all of that. Yeah, and then, I don't know if I said this, but Girls on the Run is 3rd to 5th grade. And then there's another program called Heart and Soul, which is facilitated. It is a Girls on the Run program. It's just called Heart and Soul for 6th through 8th grade. And there's kind of that distinction just based on the social skills that
I would imagine, yeah.
both of those age groups are, you know, you go into the middle school age group and there are kind of some different tools that are needed. So we don't currently have a Heart and Soul program in town, but that would, I mean, it
Would
be
you like
something
to
that
start
would be,
one at some point?
Sure. I mean, I think if we could get Girls on the Run in every
Elementary
school here, like, I mean, that's, our biggest problem now is that, like, we've got such a successful program at Teaticket, but we have a ton of other elementary schools where girls aren't getting access to the same program, which is a bummer. But again, you either have to have separate programs at each school, or you have to be able to provide transportation to get kids all to one school, which is like a big cost variable. Girls on the Run doesn't bring money in. Like, the one thing about it is that the money goes to the Girls on the Run organization to support the programming. It doesn't go back to the school. So paying for things like transportation, we kind of have like
a very limited budget.
Yeah.
Now, there's a cost for the girls to be part of the program, correct?
Yes, there is a cost for the season, but no kid has ever turned away based on financial need. They do like what they call a sliding scale. So basically parents pay what they can, and sometimes that's nothing.
It's fair.
Which is great because, we're in a lower income area. And so, I'm sure you have programs up in greater parts of Boston where that's not as much of a problem. And so being part of a bigger organization, we get that financial assistance that we maybe wouldn't get. But yeah, so they pay for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we get a bus to Boston, we get t-shirts, so it does come
water bottles, bags,
with some stuff. Yeah, with some support. We have a way to give the girls running shoes and sports bras and things that they might not have access to in order to run and in order to participate in the program.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It has some support built in.
Yeah, which I think is obviously needed and appreciated, and it sounds like it's good that we're part of the Greater Boston group, at least for now.
Oh yeah, no, we wouldn't have been able to do this without them.
Yeah.
It would have been a full-time job to try to do it on our own. But it's also great because we were one of the first Cape and Islands programs last year. But now, there's a program in Sandwich. There's a team out in Nantucket.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I believe there's a team out in P-Town.
Okay.
So we are seeing more and more Girls on the Run programs happening on the Cape because we were incorporated into the Greater Boston chapter.
I mean, I feel like if this continues, I could see us having our own like Cape and Islands chapter potentially. Yeah,
one thing we had brainstormed with some of the other teams on the Cape was to even maybe do our own 5K.
I think that's a good idea.
Somewhere centrally located on the Cape once we have more interest and more kids, because it is kind of a long way to go.
Yeah, and I feel like the biggest thing it deters is the buddies that we can bring with us, because like if you guys left at like 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m.
Bus left at 5:15, so definitely early for some of these kiddos. But they do provide us a bus free of charge, which is great, because if we didn't have a bus, I think we really would hit obstacles of getting kids and buddies to the 5K.
Boston.
So that does help. And, we haven't seen, I think every kid went yesterday. We didn't have anybody miss the 5K.
That's
all
fantastic.
Their buddies went. So it definitely, they do a great job of making it accessible, even though, it is in downtown Boston.
And it's a decently long day. Like, what time did you guys get back?
We got back at like 12:30.
Oh, that's not as bad.
Yeah, so we didn't hit traffic actually, which was wonderful. We expected to get back more like 2 p.m., but we got back earlier than we thought, which was good.
I know last year you guys hit traffic and were stuck like for a long period of time in that bus.
Yeah, well, last year the 5K was at Suffolk Downs.
Oh yeah, they changed the location this year.
Yeah, and so I think it took longer to get in and out of the 5K venue last year than it did this year. So that was good. But yeah, so I would love to be able to do more Girls on the Run programs at some of our other elementary schools, or offer Heart and Soul at some of our middle schools. Or even, be able to figure out how to do like a program at the community center and like help kids get there. So I think, there's potential to grow the program in town and bring Heart and Soul to town. I think, we just need some more hands.
Yeah.
And
So
some more money. So if anybody out there wants to sponsor us and help us bring more teams to Falmouth, we could use some financial assistance. Definitely would help.
yeah, so the main barriers, it sounds like, is like the financial side of things, just funding the program overall, and then volunteers, correct?
Yeah, so I would say like we get a lot of we basically could run the program for free because we have the help, because we're part of the Greater Boston chapter, and because they don't turn any girl away.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they don't help with any sort of like transportation. So if we have so many elementary schools in town that if we wanted to do one Girls on the Run program and
like the Gus County Center or something.
or even have them all come to Teaticket, because the Teaticket has the track.
Yeah.
Like, that's just an extra barrier to entry that like we have to pay for the buses and facilitate the logistics of getting kids, or we have to have a program at every school, which is, you need like 6 times as many volunteers.
Yeah, we're going to need a lot more volunteers.
I mean, we would need more volunteers anyway if we had one program, because it's 5 kids per adult. So there are rules that are set by Girls on the Run to have a certain number of adults supervising kids.
For safety.
So like we would still need more volunteers, but we would need even, every team would have to have a site liaison. There's just more to it.
Just be a lot.
Yeah. So we either need a lot more volunteers to get it spread out through town, or we need the financial assistance to like be able to have some sort of
like transportation system.
Or we just do it at the community center and
hope for the best.
Hope for the best, and have people provide their own transportation, which I think is fine. But you'd get a lot of kids that
don't show up,
and maybe the kids that need it the most who aren't gonna get it.
Yeah, which would be the most unfortunate thing, to be honest.
Yeah, because that's the beauty of after-school activities, is that kids are there.
Yeah, and you're just doing something in the place. You don't have to transport them anywhere.
Yeah. And mom and dad who work a lot and don't have the means to get their kids to all of these other like paid after-school activities, it's a great option to still get kids involved and get kids, moving their bodies, but also learning some of these other skills.
Yeah. And hopefully making friends too.
Yeah. So, I think if we did like one community-based program, it would be nice to help with some of the transportation part of it, because I think it would be a barrier.
I agree.
To some families in town. So.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if someone wants to be a volunteer for Girls on the Run, what is the process for that, Erin?
Yeah, so you could reach out to any of the current coaches at Girls on the Run. You also could go and find the Greater Boston chapter and just apply to be a volunteer. They have an application process, and they can put you at any school. So you would go in and fill out the application, and then you would say that you wanted to teach it or to coach at Teaticket.
Which is exactly where you should come coach. Nowhere else, just Teaticket.
Until we have more programs, then we'll send you elsewhere.
Then we'll send you. We'll dissipate out from there.
You go through, if it's your first year coaching, there's like a 4-hour in-person training that you have to go through. You have to go through the CORI, which is the background check in order to work in the school system.
Oh, yeah, we did that training at the Falmouth Running Club office, didn't we?
Yeah, so we hosted a training here 2 years ago. But the Boston chapter has trainings in Boston, or you can go to other trainings elsewhere that they're being offered. And then you have to have at least one coach that's CPR certified at all of our practices. I already have that for work, so that hasn't been an issue. So we haven't necessarily sent anyone for CPR training, but Girls on the Run does provide it for free.
Oh, okay.
And then if you're a returning coach, training is just like an hour or 2
like
done virtually. Like a refresher training. And then there are some mid-season check-in meetings that just like one coach has to go to, which is usually Ashley or I that go to those. So it's easy to get involved. You just go online, fill out the application,
do like a quick, kind of quick training,
do the background check, do the training,
and you're ready to go.
Yeah. What was your other question?
That was the question that I had, but I have another question for you. If you're ready.
I'm ready.
What is your favorite part of being a coach for Girls on the Run? And why should other people be compelled to be a coach? What makes it worth it?
So I think I don't know, I'm a firm believer that everybody should give back to their community in some way because
As someone who's running a show that's very community-based at the community television station, I can stand behind this, Erin.
yeah, and I feel like, maybe we don't all use the resources in our community, but like you'll come to a point in life where you'll want to use those resources, like you'll need to use those resources. So it's kind of like
for
just
sure.
a giving back where you can, because you never know when you're going to be in need of those resources. So, and one thing I like about Girls on the Run too is that built into the curriculum, the girls every season do a community project.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so one of the big lessons we teach is we try to teach the girls to do positive things for their community. So this year, the girls helped clean up at the school. They helped put up the flags for Memorial Day and just do like some of the beautification of the front of the school. There's not a ton of time to do the community project. It's like one practice.
Yeah.
So, we can't really do like anything big and crazy and like hugely impactful to the community, but it's cool that we're teaching the girls that message from a young age to be good stewards of their community and to give back.
Hopefully it inspires them to do more action in the community, or just see like, hey, I like volunteering like this. Can I ask my mom or my dad or my parents to like help me find something else I can do? Or maybe they approach one of us and they're like, hey, what can I do in the community? We're like, oh, is this a garden cleanup or something? Or we give their parents something, I don't know.
Yeah, and so I like the circularity of that, of like I'm giving back to my community in a way, and I'm hoping that, we're teaching kids to then do that in their future. And it is funny, like this is, I think, a lot of the time the first instance that these kids have like given back to their community. And you get some pretty funny suggestions when we're brainstorming what we should do.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of Dairy Queen suggestions last year.
Yeah, somebody said this year, gosh, I can't remember what it was, but it was like,
they have some wilds like...
It was like, it might have been Dairy Queen again. Children in this town are obsessed with Dairy Queen.
I mean, I get it, like as a kid who was like always...
I mean, who doesn't like ice cream?
Yeah, I mean, ice cream is great, but like, it's just very funny how like, especially, I wasn't here for the drafting of the idea this year, but every conversation we had last year around it just drifted back to Dairy Queen, and I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I think one of the kids this year suggested like going to somewhere in town and having them tell us good job. Like, I'm like, that's not giving back to the community. Like, nice try. Or actually, I do think it was Dairy Queen. I think and I know exactly what kid said it. She was like, we should go to Dairy Queen and have them give us ice cream. And I'm like, that is not giving back to your community.
That's not a community project.
It is fun because like I do think you're teaching these kids like maybe for the first time.
Yeah. What does that even mean? Yeah, giving back doesn't mean that other people compliment you.
No, we can't go to the business and ask for free ice cream. That's not giving back to your community.
That's not quite what we're looking for right here.
Yeah. So last year they wrote thank you posters, and we dropped some off at for the hospital workers. So just things like that. And like, I mean, even just brainstorming what is community and like what are the different parts of your community.
Yeah, that's a big part of those lessons that are leading up to that community project.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes they're very stumped about like who are members of your community. So
yeah, we have to like start them small. Be like, okay, what's your classroom community look like? They're like, oh, teachers, like our fellow students, and like the janitor, or like the secretary at the front. They're like, yeah, okay, so let's just branch that out a little bit more, and then you can kind of flesh out. And they're like, oh, I feel like they kind of also gravitate towards like the healthcare centers for some reason.
Well, and I feel like, too, they gravitate towards what they know, So if mom works at the hospital or, dad's a police officer, like you get a lot of those responses. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what I like the most is
being able to
just
really
feeling like I'm doing something positive.
Yeah.
And hoping that it'll turn into something positive for someone else down the road.
I think that's fantastic, Erin.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah, I can agree too. I mean, I just have a great time because I get the girls screaming. They know Juliana's the loud coach, and like,
Yeah.
if they don't,
You're just as sometimes playful as they are.
yeah, I'm down to clown, and I also am like ready to like if they don't give me a big enough, it's so much fun because the whole thing is girls on the run. It's so much fun, and they repeat to us, "It's so much fun." It's kind of just our regrouping and also our little cheer around everything. But if they don't give me a loud enough, "It's so much fun," I make them do it again until we get enough loudness for my liking.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
lot of
definitely.
fun.
It is fun.
But yeah, any like final thoughts you have about Girls on the Run, Erin, or any like maybe final thoughts you have around exactly why people should volunteer, maybe in like a couple of words, like what they're going to get out of it.
Yeah, I think with anything in life, you get out what you put in.
Fair, yeah.
And so, I would encourage everyone to volunteer in their community in some way. And Girls on the Run is a great option if you're looking for an option, especially if you are a runner or you have a kid in the school system or, I just think like it's a good option. It's a good option to give back to your community. It's somewhere that is new and we're trying to grow it. So, we do have a need for more volunteers and we do have a need for more resources to make it into something that can give back to the entire community because, right now we're only giving back to a fraction of the Falmouth community.
Yeah.
So we're looking for help. Come help us.
Come help us, please. Yeah, I think it's definitely, I've only gotten positive things out of being part of the program. And it's just so wonderful to see how much the girls really do enjoy being part of Girls on the Run. Because like you can do programs like that and sometimes you do them and then you're like, did they get anything out of it? Did they not? And these girls very clearly have let us know.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to hear like the teachers at the school. One of our practices usually is in the morning. So it's kind of cool to hear like, the kids get to come in and burn off some energy and get their bodies moving before they go and sit in class all day. And it's just cool to hear from teachers and other people like around the school being like, oh, we now know what Girls on the Run is because the kids are talking about it. And, they're better at paying attention in class on Fridays because they've had practice. And, it's cool to hear from the rest of the school that it's clearly working because the kids are talking about it and the kids are spreading that. Like I had some people actually who I play hockey with who teach at Teaticket and they're like, oh, your 5K is coming up, right? And it's like, so everybody gets involved and everyone's like, oh, that's so cool. And
I think one of the biggest tells for me that the girls are really enjoying it is that the first year we did it, like initially at the beginning of the season, I was telling people that I was there for Girls on the Run and they had no idea why I was there. And now when we go in, every single teacher there.
You're here for Girls on the Run.
Yeah, they know that we're the Girls on the Run people, and they also they know what it is, and and I've never interacted with most of these people. I mean, even the crossing guard lady, she's like, she knows who we are, and she's just like, oh, Girls on the Run. Yeah. And you go into the secretaries all know, and they're all excited that we're there, and any teacher that you interact with, like they know what Girls on the Run is, even if I've never spoken to them, and I don't know if anyone else has ever spoken to them, and it's a very positive reaction too.
Yeah, it's definitely percolating through the community, slowly but surely.
Hopefully at some point we'll have more teams. That's kind of the goal, I think.
Yeah, definitely the goal.
Yeah, include as many people as we possibly can.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Well,
we're getting there.
Yeah, I think so. And if you're interested in volunteering with Girls on the Run, not only just here in Falmouth, if you're somewhere else in the country or in the world, there's probably a Girls on the Run team that's near you. So go ahead and head over to the Girls on the Run website, which I'll link below. And also, if you want to check out our Teaticket arm of the organization, I'll put that information down below too. So that way it's an easy access point. So go check it out and come volunteer with us next year.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, next spring. That's when we're going to be doing our next round of Girls on the Run.
Yep, next spring.
Next spring, 2026.
It's not too early to sign up, though.
Yeah, you can always become a coach and do the training. I believe almost any time of the year for the most part.
Yeah, well, they'll start doing trainings for the fall season, so there'll be stuff.
Yeah, so you could go up to Boston technically and do the training and be ready to rock and roll when the spring comes around. And
I mean, we start planning for the spring season come January, December.
Makes sense.
So
yeah.
It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, there we go. And we're going to be running a 5K again.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun. But thank you, Erin, for all that information.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Giving us some good exposure.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously this is my second year being part of it too, and like I think it's a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
I'm totally behind it. There's no reason not to be.
Nope, agreed.
So it's one of those things where you can kind of wholeheartedly support and just be like, yep, they're doing good things. And we're like, yes, we are doing good things.
Yep.
Many good things.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about being part of a, international organization. Like, they've worked out the kinks. They've proven that it works. Like, we're just expanding something that's already, good.
Yeah, we're just like little extension cords of the greater power source that's coming from wherever it started. Atlanta? Is that where it started?
I don't know.
We looked at the history earlier. I can't remember. Don't worry.
Let's ask Google.
Yeah, we can.
It was founded in 1996.
Yeah, we knew that much. Because it's like a year younger than you or so, give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely younger than me. I was not born in 1996. Not that old, but it's okay.
Charlotte, North Carolina was the first Girls on the Run program.
Okay. I knew it was somewhere down south, but I couldn't remember where we said it was. Okay.
Yeah.
So, the main power source in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yep.
There we go.
Pretty cool.
Fantastic. We love to see it. We love to hear it. But go check out Girls on the Run and come volunteer with us if you'd like. But we're going to round out the episode with our favorite segment, Erin, which is, what shoe do you choose to use? So, you have to tell me what shoe. You can either tell me...
I feel like that's not a fair question. I have to only pick one shoe.
No, you can pick multiple shoes. There's not really like a super strict rule as to what we're talking about here. I kind of open the floor for people to talk about whatever shoe that either lives rent-free in their brain, they're currently wearing, they want to race in, or you can talk about multiple different shoes. For me, the interesting part has been learning how many people have no fucking clue what they're wearing on their feet. At all.
I wear
But I know that
I have 6 pairs of shoes in my running rotation.
Yeah, let's run through it, what you got. I know what one of them is, but I don't know what the other ones are.
All right, well, I have the New Balance Rebel.
Oh yeah, I didn't know you had that one. Yeah. You have the V4, right?
Don't love it. Yeah. I mean, I like it enough, but it's not my fave. I've got a Brooks Glycerin.
Okay.
Do you like it enough, not my fave.
What year did you get that one?
It's the new one.
Oh, you got the brand new one? The one that Ben loves?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have the Brooks Hyperion Max, which I really love.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah. I have just the Brooks Hyperion, which is probably my favorite shoe.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's lower drop, not a lot of cushion.
It's nice. I call that one like a crisp shoe.
It is. It's snappy. I really. That's probably my favorite. That probably is what takes up the most space in my brain, rent free.
Okay.
But then I also really like the Asics Magic Speed, but the old version, like maybe
you have
version
the 3. Yeah, you and I both have the 3.
Yeah, and then I got a second pair of them because I liked them so much.
I have 2 back pairs in my closet because they're gonna stop making them
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They ruined it on the 4. The 4 is not like.
Well, they put too much cushion in it.
It's so the 4 to me is like a slightly more narrow New Balance Super Comp V3, which is like you stand on it and you feel like you're on a chonky platform. Like you feel like you're on a wedge heel almost when you're running in a way that feels not like nimble. Like you can be on a high shoe and have it be like nimble and like easy to maneuver.
Yeah.
It just feels not easy to maneuver, and it feels like just like standing on platform wedges where.
Yeah, and so the thing that I don't love this trend where everything is getting higher cushion.
Yeah, just for shits and giggles, pretty much.
I'm a small person. I don't need a ton of cushion, I feel like, and I much prefer to be able to feel the road surface. I want something that is going to be efficient and help propel me forward and is going to be lightweight and snappy. Yeah, not get in my way.
Yeah.
I like more of a tempo design shoe.
Yeah.
And shoes are moving away from that in general. So that's one reason. That's one reason I like the version 3 is that it was lighter weight. It was more of a tempo shoe, which I guess technically now it still is, but they threw all of that foam on it, and now I'm like.
I can't. I tried running in the 4s, and I physically just couldn't do it. Like it was just not working.
I don't even think I tried them because I was like.
Yeah.
No, I probably did actually. I take that back. I probably did.
That was when I was working with Asics. I got the free pair, and I actually gave them to Alex, the kid who was working with us at the running shoe store, because I just
no thanks.
I physically just couldn't use them because they were just obstructing my stride so much with how much of it was like running on a platform heel.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it, but I love the 3. The 3 is fantastic.
And I have been racing in the Metaspeed, the A6 Metaspeed. So that's one of my carbon plated.
The Paris, the one that's red with the either red or black bottom on it.
Yeah, it's like neon orange or neon green and red.
But neon green and red. Oh, you must have the old Metaspeed.
The one from last summer.
Metaspeed. Well, the Metaspeed.
No, it's the same one as the Paris. It's just not the Paris color.
Oh, it's not the Paris colorway. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh
yeah, that's one you ran Berlin in, right?
Yeah, I ran Berlin in those, and then
you
I also set a PR. I did.
What was your PR?
3:23.
Very nice.
3 hours and 23 minutes. Yeah.
Way faster than I'm ever going to run in my life. Congratulations.
Okay. That's the beauty of running. Everyone's on their different journey.
Yeah, I've fallen in love with distance running, like longer.
Yeah. Okay, your longest race is only 4 miles longer than a marathon.
I know,
You're not at the 100 miles yet.
I'm ready to run a 50.
I know you are. I know you're like hardcore into your ultra life now.
I'm like really just like living my best like basic trail life.
Yeah,
basic trail bitch life is what I'm calling it.
Hey, I think that's great. Try new things. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm literally like one click away from registering for that 50 miler. I was talking to Ben about it this morning too. I was like, should I do it? He was like, I don't know. I was like, I feel like a real trail runner now that I'm contemplating a long distance run and not really like thinking about the distance and being so flippant about it.
Yeah. You know what other shoe I like?
What?
I started running this spring in a pair of Adidas Adi Pros.
Oh, okay.
The 3s, I think.
How'd you get your hands on those? Did you just like find them?
They were a hand-me-down, unused though. They were new from a BAA runner.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, because you run with the BAA. Are you still with the BAA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just as they're like community club.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't love Adidas running shoes, and there's some of them I still really don't like, but I do like those.
Okay.
So I actually raced Maine Coast in those because I had been running them more for speed work and like did some of my like bigger runs in them, and those are good. So
okay,
that's a lot of shoes I just listed off.
That's okay. I'll look them all up and I'll find the clip art for them so that way I can throw them up on the screen so people have any idea what you're even talking about. Because I can envision all these shoes in my head. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I don't even know, like, did I remember all of them? Let's see.
Yeah, you gonna check your Strava to make sure?
I am. I'm gonna go check my Strava gear list.
I was checking mine this morning too because my old Puma DV8s are up to like 240-ish, 240-ish.
Yeah, I recycled those. I don't think I'll be getting a new pair.
I'm a big Puma DV8 fan, but that's just I think that's the ultimate road to trail shoe because it's got like 3mm lugs on the bottom with that Puma grip, and like you can off road with those.
The grip is nice, but I don't know. Just
for my body mechanics, it works, and
that's the beauty of shoes is that there's a shoe out there for everybody.
Well, that's why I say people are like, why do you have so many shoes, Julianne? I'm like, because shoes are tools. They're tools that either make you in the correct spot for the terrain, the weather, or your own body.
Yeah.
It's a tool. That's what it is. And sometimes you want to just have a larger toolbox, and that's really it. So. I hear you. Did you see how many shoes you had?
Yeah, I have a couple more in there that I've ran in a few times but felt about, like my A6 Cumulus. I preferred those as more of a walking shoe.
Those are just a chunk of foam. That's not really super responsive.
I have the Adidas Bostons, but I don't really love those either. I feel like Adidas run a bit bigger, and so I feel like they just slightly don't fit my feet as well.
I feel like Adidas runs like a Nike does almost, but a slightly longer Nike. Like it's meant for ski pole feet, where they're a little bit longer and flatter and more narrow. Yeah, I definitely have a narrower foot, but I haven't tried Nikes since like college. Oh, well, I mean, if you start running with Ben a little bit more too, he's going to really... I was with him when he bought his pair of Nikes. Oh, yeah, you were with him when you bought the Pegasus 41s, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know his love of the Pegasus. We're now deeply in love with the Pegasus. Like, if you think that is what I ran in college. Like, I'm not a stranger to it. I just didn't know anything about shoes back then. Yeah. And I wasn't running nearly enough to, like, feel like I had a preference, and now I know. So it'd be interesting to go back and try them and see what I think of them now. Yeah, I feel like the Brooks Ghost and the Nike Pegasus are like the two like #1 shoes that you can just get thrown into with that, like being a baby runner. Yeah, I'm definitely, if I had to pick a shoe brand though, it's Brooks. Yeah, I was gonna say most of your shoes kind of are Brooks. It's the Hyperion line. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is definitely interesting. I feel like Brooks is definitely headed in the direction of higher cushion. I mean, everybody is. It's like you have to follow the trend, and that's where it's going. They are, but there are definitely some other brands that are kind of taking the cushioning down a little bit too. But Brooks, I feel like, is just always a little bit behind the curve when it comes to trends. But I mean, you still have like just the Hyperion is pretty low cushion, so there are some options out there still, which are nice. Yeah, and I feel like every brand has lower cushion option. It just might not be the most popular one that like everyone who's not like super into shoes is talking about.
Yeah.
So, because I feel like the biggest one for Brooks is the Glycerin Max right now.
Which I haven't tried.
I tried it on in the store, and it is just too much of a unit for me.
It does seem like a lot of shoe.
It's quite a bit.
And I'm running in the Hyperion Maxes right now, and those are like probably the most shoe that I want, and those are less shoe than the Glycerin Max.
Yeah, the Glycerin Max. I also tried out the Super Blast from ASICS last year because I got a pair from the ASICS program, and it was just I went on an 18-mile run and I came back, my calves were like destroyed because I just like I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It just obstructed my heel so much because it's just like you're on a huge platform.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's not for me, but that's okay. Could be for someone else.
Yeah.
It's all good.
There's a shoe out there for everybody.
There's a shoe for everyone out there to choose. But thanks for sharing your shoes, Erin.
You're welcome.
We love to talk about shoes.
All of them.
Yeah, I talked to the radio station people yesterday. I was like, could we start like a shoe call-in line so I can just talk to people about shoes?
That would be fun.
I think it'd be a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah. I don't know. Would anyone call us, though?
I don't know. I feel like there's enough people, especially even if they ran it as like a special going into the road race weekend, like just like a shoe help call line, like a shoe SOS.
Yeah.
A shoe SOS.
You might be onto something.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
Or is it Save Our Shoes? SOS.
SOS.
The second S is the shoe.
Yeah. SO shoes.
SO shoes.
SO
yeah.
shoes. I feel like there's room to brainstorm and workshop this.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone listening or watching has any ideas, let me know, you know. But thanks for being on today, Erin.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is great. And if people want to get in contact with you, I will put the links below for the Girls on the Run information. Is there anywhere, if people want to get in contact with you, that they should? You want to give like Instagram handle or anything like that? If they have questions, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But just in case, I open the floor.
Sure, we could do Instagram.
Just in case people
I gotta
have
look up what
questions
my
for you.
Instagram handle is. It's Lionfish. LYONFISH.
Cool. I'll put that down below too, just in case people will have specific questions for you, or maybe they want to take on a personal trainer potentially if you're accepting new clients.
Need a running buddy in town, anything, you know.
Yeah, you know.
Like I said, I dabble in a lot of things.
Erin dabbles. You need a hockey coach maybe, which I'm learning about now. Like that's an option. Erin has a lot of options.
I do a lot of things, that's for sure.
Yeah, you also make piñatas.
That's a new tool in my toolbox.
Yeah, Erin made a piñata for Ben and Nicole's wedding.
Yep, with the help of Julia. So.
Yep, shout out Julia.
I didn't do it alone.
Now shout out Ben, who did not do most of it.
Well, he did the body. He worked on the body.
We can throw him under the bus. It's okay.
We did the decoration.
And Ben won't be offended.
No. He knows he procrastinated on that.
Yeah, yes. Sometimes I think I'm a pro procrastinator, and then I'm like, no, Ben is a pro procrastinator.
Yeah.
Absolute professional in that field.
Yeah, for sure. We love him anyway.
Yep, we keep him around. But thanks again for being on, Erin.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And thank you all for listening and watching the show today. Good Lord. If you'd like to stay in touch with us or stay tuned to what we have coming up next, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and leave us a 5-star review. Words are hard today, friends. A 5-star review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. And you can also get in contact with us on Instagram @RunnahPod or send us an email at runnahpod@gmail.com. And I say like that, like there's anyone else behind this podcast but me, but it's just me. I say we like there's a team, but it's not. No, absolutely not.
Juliana and all the voices in her head.
I mean, there are many voices in my head, so.
It's a comprehensive unit of people.
Yeah, there's many things happening up there. It's kind of like the Inside Out movie times like a million. Yeah. It's like, but okay. Thank you for watching and listening to Runnah, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye. That's it. Bye. Yeah, you can do that too if you want, Erin. Thank you for listening to this episode of Runnah. This podcast is edited, hosted, and produced by me, Juliana Coughlin. Brought to you in part by the Falmouth Running Club and the Falmouth Community TV Station. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram and on TikTok @RunnahPod, and you can send us an email at runnahpod@gmail.com. And our original theme music was brought to you by the one and the only wonderful Jeffrey Hutton. And keep up the great work. I'm proud of you. Answer the questions, but don't even look at me. I think we got to do I got to do an episode where we just both me and the guest just kind of look directly into the camera and don't make any eye contact with each other.
That feels like something you should have done with Ben.